Hey guys, I'm really not sure if I'm going to post this or not, but I'm just going to record because I feel prompted to record. Um, but I don't know if I'm going to post this or not, but we'll see. So happy Sunday. It's been a day, guys. It's been a day. It's been a good day. But those Sundays that you just want to lay in bed, but you have to reset, like you have laundry to do and cleaning to do, so you can't just lay in the bed like you would want to all day. That was me today, but by the strength of God, okay, not by power, not by might, but by his Holy Spirit, did I get up and do laundry and hang up laundry and clean this whole house. I even steamed my floors, okay? And originally, I didn't feel like getting out of bed. Like, I just wanted to have a lazy day. But I'm glad it was a productive day. I had some items that I needed from the store delivered, but I also went and picked up some of the things that I needed. So I went and put gas in the car and all the things that I really didn't feel like doing today. But God is good. Um, but I don't even know where I'm going with any of this, to be honest. Um, I just want to share something, probably a bunch of stuff. I don't even really know. Like, that's the mood that I'm in, right? I don't even really know. So many people are worried about marriages and relationships and finances and job opportunities and so many things, right? And rightfully so. We're human, so we think about these things. But I've learned this, okay? And this will probably sound dark to some of you guys that want to see everything as cookies and rainbows or whatever. But I'm not someone who sees the world as like cookies and rainbows and watermelons and all the cutesy stuff. Like, I see the world for what it is. Um, and I've learned this. There's so many desires of my heart, and God knows about all of it. Like, there's so many desires of your heart, and God knows about all of it. A lot of the desires that we have in our hearts right now, God put that desire there, right? But I feel like there's so many people so focused on, when is my love story coming? That's like the top of the list for some people, right? And I get it. I love love. I'm super excited to be with the person that God has for me. I'm excited for marriage. I'm excited for all of those things, right? But why are you stressing yourself about, when is your love story going to come together? When is my husband coming? When is my wife coming? When is my dream job coming? When is my career advancement coming? When are the finances coming? You're good right now, right? You're okay. You're alive. You're breathing. God has kept you. You're good. So why are you stressing yourself and causing anxiety to yourself over the things that are out of your control? God holds life in his hands. He holds your very breath in his hands. So you better believe, without a doubt, that when it's time for your love story to come together, when it's time for you to be in that position that he promised you, when it's time for you to be in that house he promised you, when it's time for you to relocate, God is going to open those doors at his divine time for the things. If it has not happened yet, there's a reason why. You may not know the reason. I may not know the reason, but God knows the reasons. He said, "For I know the plans I have for you," says the Lord. Not, "You know the plans I have for you." We don't know what he has for us. We know the things that God has promised us. And because he's not a God that will lie, we know he's going to fulfill it at his divine time. Chill out and really take a good look at where you are. And Pastor Bronner says it best. Like, I love when he's like, a person who's been diagnosed with an illness, cancer, chronic heart failure, whatever it is, a person that's sick, really sick, has one desire, one prayer from God, and that's to get better. That's to be able to live. That's to be made well, right? They have one desire, and it's to live, to be well again. But the person that's healthy and does not have a diagnosis that's a death sentence, right, has so many desires that they want God to fulfill. But do you ever sit back and think that God holds life and death in his hands? So death is inevitable for all of us, whether you're a child of God or a child of Satan, okay? Death is inevitable. It's going to happen. And God holds life and death in his hands. Nothing could happen under the sun without God either causing it or allowing it. He literally holds your breath. He holds my breath in his hands. So instead of whining and complaining about your promises that haven't showed up, thank God that you still have breath in your body. Thank God for the promises that he's promised you. Thank God for where you are, because regardless of what your situation is, regardless of what my situation is, there's somebody praying for your life. There's someone praying for my life. And we all go through the motions. Like, we all go through that whining phase and complaining phase and all the things, right? But sometimes you need to take a step back and really understand who God is and who you're dealing with. He's the same God who created the world with words. So if he could create the world with words, what more can he do for you? Swiftly, quickly, whenever he's ready. All he has to do is speak a thing. He does not have to sit there and put it all together. He just has to speak it and it will be done. So why are you crying and whining, giving yourself a headache, not eating, throwing up, being anxious over something that's beyond your control, when you serve a God that holds time in his hands? He holds life in his hands. He holds death in his hands. He holds your promises in his hands. All you need to do is seek the kingdom of heaven, and everything else will be added. That's what his word says. So if I'm walking in alignment with God's will, if I'm doing what he's told me to do, I don't need to think about anything else. I don't need to think about anything else. You don't need to think about anything else. God is not looking at what I'm doing or what you're doing and checking off of a list to see if he's going to do something based on what we do. We can't do enough for God. We can't even come close. We can't do enough for him. God is not looking at our good deeds. All you need to do is have a pure heart, an obedient heart, a heart posture that's postured towards God. The rest is up to him. But best believe when he asks you to do something, it's not so that he can do something for you. He's not a tit for tat God. You do this and I'll do this. You do this and I'll do this. We can't do enough for him. So when you're tempted to whine or be anxious or fearful or just have these racing thoughts, think about how a sick person feels. Think about if you went to the doctor tomorrow and your doctor said you have stage 4 cancer. Think about if you went to the doctor tomorrow and your doctor said you only have 6 months to live. At that point, a marriage would be the last thing on your mind. A promotion at work would be the last thing on your mind. A new house would be the last thing on your mind. Getting skinnier would be the last thing on your mind. The only thing that you would be thinking about is your life. The only thing that you would be praying for is for God to make you well again, to heal you. Everything else would go out the window. Your life can change in an instant. My life can change in an instant. Tomorrow is not promised, guys. Live today. Live regardless of the promises being fulfilled or not being fulfilled. Enjoy your life. This world is already messed up enough. It's crazy enough. It's still a beautiful place because God created it. But the stuff that's inside it is complete nuts, okay? It's crazy out here. Enjoy your life. God's hands are upon your life. You are safe. You're protected. You're good. A sick person's one desire, their one prayer to God is to get well, to be healed, to live. But you guys that are healthy, you can walk on your own. You can pee and poop on your own. That's not the reality for a lot of people. Some people are pooping in a poop bag. Some people are peeing in a pee bag. Like they can't release on their own. They're bedbound. Some people can't walk. These are the very things that you take for granted. Thank God for the movement in your arms, the movement in your legs, that you can see and that you're not blind, that you can hear and you're not deaf, that you're not fighting cancer and having chemotherapy and losing your hair. Thank God for those things, because someone is dealing with all of those things. The promises will be fulfilled when God is ready. He's a big God. Like I said, he holds death and life in his hands. All he has to do is breathe on you, and he can make whatever happen, happen. All he has to do is speak a word, and he can make whatever he wants to happen, happen. All he has to do is look a certain way, and whatever he wants to happen will happen. He's God. You crying and begging and pleading and being anxious, that's not going to make him go faster for you. It's not. You fasting 20 times a day for a promise. If God is not ready to release that to you, he's not going to release it. Breathe. Breathe. And I don't know who needs to hear this today, but enjoy your life. I've followed a lot of, I don't know, I haven't, many of you, again, probably will think of this as dark, whatever, or scary for you, however you're going to look at it. But I follow a lot of vloggers who were battling cancer. And I don't know what my interest was in these types of vlogs, but I began to like them, like watching them. Like, I really enjoyed it. And out of all of the ones that I followed 3 people that were battling cancer. And I was following them when they were alive. All 3 of them have passed away. All 3 of them were in their 30s. They were my age. And I watched all 3 of these. They were all ladies. I watched them care for their kids. I watched them care for their husbands. I watched them live every day as best as they could. And it really did something to me. Like, it really, really did something to me, to where now when I think about whining about what I don't have yet, I have to check myself, because I've seen people live every day as if it was their last, because they knew that it was soon coming. And all 3 of these ladies, I'm 37, all 3 of these ladies were in their 30s. We were very close in age. And all of them have passed away over the course of the last couple of years of me watching them. And I've followed all of their journeys. And every last one of them, they passed away. And they all had something in common. They all had a husband that rode this thing out with them. The husband prayed with them. They covered them. They took care of them. And I seen how their husbands just loved on them through this. Even though it was breaking the husbands, I watched every single one of them had such a strong husband that loved them as Christ loved the church. Like, they really exhibited Christ in their marriage. They really did. And all 3 of these husbands were so supportive. And I remember praying one day, or I was talking to God, and I said, Lord, I never want to have to go through cancer or any type of illness like that. I was like, please spare me from it. And I followed up by saying, if this is something that you allow me to go through, send me a husband that you've chosen for me that's going to care for me just like their husbands did. Because I watched their husbands until their last day, and their husbands went above and beyond. Now, most of you would be like, who would even pray a prayer like that? Me! Because I got a chance to see what it's like to love someone that you're losing. Like, till death do us part. I've seen people loving their spouses through sickness and in health. Through sickness and in health. And loving them to the end. And that's not something we see all the time. I don't know what God has for my life. Yeah, I do pray against sickness and all the things. But I don't know what's written. I don't know what God is going to allow me to experience. So I'm like, if that is something that you have in my story that you're going to allow me to go through, let me go through it with someone that you chose for me that's going to ride this thing out with me. Because even though these women were so sick, they were so ill, their husbands literally gave them life. Their husbands gave them life. I felt like these women were fighting because they had such a fighter next to them. And I don't know what the reason is that the Lord just allowed me to gravitate towards these platforms. I don't know when I started watching them, how they popped up, but I just found myself very intrigued by what was going on in their lives. And I watched them when they were alive. I watched them when they passed away. When it was nearing the end, I've seen their husbands, go through a transition with all of this. Like, I literally watched these women when they were super sick, but when they were feeling well and up to par and they were fighting this thing and then it knocked them right back down. Like, I watched them through the ups and downs, and it made me look at life differently. Yeah, do I whine sometimes? Sure. But every time I end up repenting and asking God to forgive me, because this is the same God that holds everything in his hands. So at any minute, if he wanted to do something for me or do something for you, it's not hard. We would have to work at it and do something if we were doing it. Thank God that he does it. But it's not hard for him. He can speak a word. He doesn't have to say anything to do what he needs to do. He is God. He holds every action in his hand, every movement in his hand, life in his hands, death in his hands, prosperity in his hands. He can release anytime. So why in the heck would I sit up here and panic over something that I have no control over? That is a waste of my time. And it's a waste of your time. Allow God to be God. But until he releases whatever it is that you're waiting for, enjoy your life. Cook a nice dinner. Take a long bath. Do a skincare routine. Sit in silence and do a devotional. Write a love letter for yourself. Enjoy your life, whatever that looks like for you. God is going to be God all by himself. You're not following a set of rules so that God can move for you. He's going to move whenever he gets ready to move. His plans are not based on what you and I do or don't do. God's plans are his plans all by himself. And he's a big God. So whatever he has for you, whatever he's told you he's going to do for you, you crying and begging and saying, oh, I'm going to give up, I'm about to throw in the towel, that's not going to move him. So give up. What's your other option? I'd like to know. What's the other option that's better than God? Nothing. Enjoy your life. Stop crying over a kingdom spouse, crying over a kingdom wife, husband, whatever. Enjoy your life. Use whatever God has put in your hands at this moment. Expand your ministry. Get rid of the friendships that do not serve you. Pay off your debt little by little. You don't have to do some big major things, little by little. If you're unemployed, keep applying to jobs. When God is ready to open that door, he will open it. Just do your part. Let him do the rest. But you don't have to stress yourself out over something that's in his hands. All of it's in his hands. There is nothing you can take from God and start doing it on your own. What God has planned is what will stand, and that's what will be. You can bring your counterfeit forward all you want, but God's promise is still his promise. Allow God to do whatever it is that he's promised to do for you. And at the right time, he'll make it happen. Stop stressing. Breathe. He gives rest to his children. He gives rest to the ones that he loves. Rest. He didn't give you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Use all of it. Use the power he's given you. Use the love that he's given you. Use the sound mind that he's given you, and enjoy your life. When you least expect it is when all of those things are going to come to fruition. It's when all of those doors are going to open, when you least expect it. Focus on whatever it is that God has you focusing on. And it does not have to be anything major. Whatever it is, when God is ready, he will move heaven and earth, all the mountains, whatever he needs to move to make it happen. But you crying and stressing and staying up at night and doing all the things is not going to make him move any quicker for you. Because there's a time and a place for everything under the sun. You better go and read Ecclesiastes. If he's withholding, it's for good reason. So whenever you're whining and crying and trying to fast 20 times a day or whatever, think about those people that have just been diagnosed or people that have been fighting this illness for a long time. And they don't care about their debt, their jobs, their whatever. All they care about is getting better. And some of them won't get a healing here on earth. Their healing is when they go home to be with their Father. It's in their eternal life in heaven. God does answer prayers of healing, right? Healing is the children's bread. But some people don't have their healing here on earth. Their healing is eternal. It's when they go home to be with their Father. But their only wish while they're battling a sickness, an illness, a disease, whatever, is to get better. But those of you that are healthy and you're well, you have a million desires. But in the blink of an eye, your whole life can change. And you'll wish you had the same problems that you do right now over the new problem. Let God be God. 2025 is a year of grace and breakthrough for so many of you. So why stress about it? And when it finally comes, you're looking back and you're like, man, I should have utilized the time that I had wisely, because this was here and planned all along. And all I did was stress for 6 months. All I did was stress for 3 months. When it finally comes, you realize it wasn't worth your stressing and that the timing is perfect. So anyway, I pray that this word blesses someone and that it encourages somebody. I really do. I really do. Because so many people, oh my gosh, like, breathe, exhale. You know how many people were worrying about their bills and how they're going to pay something and how they're going to take care of something, and they died today. They didn't even make it home today. A lot of people across the world died today. And their last thought was, how am I going to pay this? How am I going to do this? Am I going to get the job? Is this husband going to come back? Is this wife going to come back? And they didn't even make it home. Tomorrow didn't even come for them. What a waste of time for that to be your last thought before you lose your life. Tomorrow isn't promised to anybody. And the Lord tells us in his word that tomorrow has enough worries on its own. All you need to be focused on is today and right now. And anything that's out of your control, God is in control. He's in control. I'm not going to argue and go back and forth with a God that literally can do anything and all things at any time. So, anyways, I hope this is encouraging for you guys. I love you. And I hope you have a good night and happy Sunday. Bye, guys.